Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Jadyn Davis has officially listed his top 5 schools in his recruitment process and has set his commitment date from a week from today on March 31st, Friday at 1:30 p.m. Before we even get into it, we just want to say thank you to you guys, especially the Michigan fans. It's been a phenomenal 2024 class, at least start to the 2024 class. We certainly ain't finished, but the support you guys have shown and the engagement you guys have shown truly does mean a lot. So if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Stay tuned for some more Michigan football talk. That's like the thing I love doing the most, and having so much support from you guys truly does mean a lot. Without further ado, let's get into this. And let's start first by highlighting why this is such a, and I'm not a guy that puts so much stock in one specific player or one specific recruitment, but Jadyn Davis in this 2024 class seems to be a massive, massive crown jewel for Michigan, in the sense that you take a look at the 2023 class, did not bring in a massive quarterback. So you kind of want to stagger your years, right? If you bring in a massive quarterback like we did with J.J. McCarthy, the next class, maybe you take a year off. But at some point, you want to bring in your quarterback of the future, and Jadyn Davis seems to be that guy. Michigan was trending for him for a very, very long time. Still is. It really does seem like Michigan, I wouldn't say has it in the bag, but it seems like this whole recruitment process, especially the last couple of weeks, has been all maize and blue. Why I want to talk about why this is such an important recruitment class, or recruitment for specific players, you take a look at the top quarterbacks in this 2024 class. You look at last year, there were 5 quarterbacks in the top 13 nationally in that 2023 class. When you look at this 2024 class, there's only 2 5-star quarterbacks. Dylan Raiola, who is kind of battling out with South Carolina, Nebraska, and Georgia. And then you have Jadyn Davis. After, you have some solid quarterbacks, but a lot of these quarterbacks are already committed. Julian Sayin, Alabama, CJ Carr, a guy that we wanted for Michigan, to Notre Dame, DJ Lagway to Florida. A lot of those top guys already have committed to school. And also, it's just not as talented of a group as we've seen in the past. Now, another thing I want to note is Jadyn Davis, in my opinion, having a quarterback commit early on in the process is really big, and it seems like the stars are aligning, right? We've landed some massive, massive battles, and this would be another recruitment win over Ohio State, which, again, college football, building a program, establishing dominance in the Big Ten and on the national landscape, it starts with talent acquisition. It starts with recruiting. It's something that Michigan has not beaten Ohio State. When Michigan and Ohio State both have offered players, Ohio State was historically winning a lot more than Michigan was. The tables are seeming to turn, and Jadyn Davis would highlight that the most, where Ohio State came in late when Jim Harbaugh started going to the NFL, or started kicking around the idea of going to the NFL. Jadyn Davis kind of backs off his commitment to Michigan. He's never committed, but kind of backs off that process, starts taking a look at other schools. Ohio State was one of those programs, once Dylan Raiola left Ohio State, that kind of came in. Right? If Jadyn Davis if Michigan can kind of remain steady for Jadyn Davis and land this commit, it would be massive in terms of the Michigan-Ohio State battle, but it's also massive in the sense that you take a look at Ohio State and the quarterbacks that they'll have left on their board in the 2024 class, it ain't looking too great, right? Because a lot of these top quarterbacks are already committed, and you know how important quarterback play is when you're trying to win a Big Ten title, when you're trying to win a national title. The second reason I want to talk about why Jadyn Davis is so important, he's playing 7-on-7s with some of the best wide receivers and running backs there are in the country. Having a guy like Jadyn Davis committed almost a year before you have to sign on the dotted line, getting in all those other guys' ears, I think that's massive. When you look at why Michigan has struggled recruiting, especially that wide receiver position for so long, I think it's a large part because there was never really an established quarterback that could kind of, I want to go play for that quarterback because I know I'm going to be able to be productive for that quarterback. And quite frankly, Michigan hasn't really recruited the quarterback position all that well either. So not only is the quarterback position outside of J.J. McCarthy and hopefully Jadyn Davis a week from now has not been great for Michigan in the past, I think consequently the wide receiver recruiting hasn't been great. This, I think, getting J.J. McCarthy, especially because Ohio State was in that recruitment as well, and then landing a guy like Jadyn Davis, I think kind of turns the tables a little bit. I think you see a lot more skilled players, especially those wide receivers, look at Michigan and be like, that's an offense where I can get some work done in, right? Historically, Michigan, and still will be, a ground and pound offense. We are going to build through the offensive line. We're going to run the football. But I think having a quarterback that can push the ball down the field, be an elite level quarterback, I think is going to get some of those wide receivers to take a longer look at Michigan. Now I kind of want to just take a look at the other schools in contention here. We're going to go back and talk about why I feel so good about Michigan in this process, right? We talked about he was just on campus with some of the top 2024 recruits for Michigan. I don't think it's a coincidence that now he's set his top 5 and his commitment date, right? I think he feels pretty good about Michigan. I think he's felt good about Michigan this whole time, but Jim Harbaugh kind of kicking around in the NFL, and then you lose the quarterbacks coach. I think Jadyn Davis wanted to come back to Ann Arbor for one more week and make sure he's rock solid with Kurt Campbell, who, from all reports, really impressed Jadyn Davis and has been really impressed with the J.J. McCarthy as well. I think Kurt Campbell, as much as Matt Weiss was a solid coach, I think Kurt Campbell in that quarterback room is more of a college coach, right? He's a better relationship builder. He's a better recruiter, which is awfully important when you're trying to get some of these top quarterbacks to come to Ann Arbor, right? So I think Jadyn Davis making his final visit to Michigan, making sure he's solid with the quarterbacks coaching. At the end of the day, when you're a quarterback committed to Michigan, you're committed to Jim Harbaugh, and you're committing to his development of quarterbacks. That's what JJ did. I think that's what Jadyn Davis is doing. And so once he gets assurance that Jim Harbaugh is here to stay in Ann Arbor, Kurt Campbell, he's going to get along and be developed under Kurt Campbell. I think that kind of solidified his decision here. Taking a look at these other 4 schools, Ohio State came in late in this process, right? Dylan Raiola was their 2024 quarterback. Jadyn Davis probably feels a little bit like a second option here. Michigan, on the other hand, kind of putting all their eggs in one basket here with Jadyn Davis. They made him feel like a priority, and I think Jadyn Davis feels that way. Ohio State, in my mind, is probably our biggest contender, though, because at the end of the day, Ryan Day has had a very successful offense. He's had a lot of quarterbacks drafted to the NFL, and you know you're going to run a clean offense at Ohio State. It does seem like Michigan's at least trending to beat them up. You take a look at Clemson. Clemson, from what I heard, Brandon Streeter, their former offensive coordinator, was the main reason Jadyn Davis was considering Clemson, right? Taking visits because of the relationship he had with Brandon Streeter. Brandon Streeter's off to Georgia. He got fired as the offensive coordinator for Clemson. I would be really surprised if Clemson was kind of still in this race. UNC, kind of the local school staying in North Carolina, but that's another program that just lost their offensive coordinator in Phil Longo. And once again, if you are committing to UNC, I think you're committing to that offense with Phil Longo and how good Sam Howell and how good Drake May have looked in that offense. Phil Longo, not there anymore at UNC. I would be very surprised if UNC has a shot. And then Tennessee seems to be the other program that I would be most concerned about if I was a Michigan fan. Josh Heupel runs a phenomenal offense. He's played quarterback at the collegiate level. And one of the things Jadyn Davis has said is, I want to play for a head coach that's done it at the college football level as a quarterback. So I kind of Jim Harbaugh and Josh Heupel at Tennessee, kind of those two guys. And then if you're a quarterback, you want to go play for a head coach like Josh Heupel. It is a clean offense. It gives you a lot of easy throws and you're getting developed. Now, I think the one question mark you have for Tennessee is Big Nico's there in that 2023 class. Is immediate playing time there going to be hard to find? Because Nico was a phenomenal recruit in 2023, extremely talented, will have a year of experience in relation to Jadyn Davis. So Jadyn Davis might not see the field till he's a junior in college if he goes to Tennessee. If he comes to Michigan, I think J.J. McCarthy in that – I don't even want to consider J.J. McCarthy leaving. I'm just going to enjoy it until he leaves. But in my mind, if J.J. McCarthy leaves after his third year at Michigan, I think that means we won a national title, or he played extremely well where we're competing for another national title, right? If we don't win the Big Ten, if we don't get to the college football playoffs, I'd be very surprised if J.J. McCarthy's a first-round quarterback and goes to the NFL. And then second, if J.J. McCarthy stays for year 4, I think it's just a perfect runway for these quarterbacks, right? You get Jadyn Davis in as a true freshman. J.J. McCarthy's into his 4th year at the helm at the quarterback position. I think he learns under J.J. McCarthy. J.J. then goes to the NFL after year 4, and Jadyn Davis is ready to rock and roll in year 2. Very similarly to what J.J. McCarthy's process was at Michigan as well, right? J.J. McCarthy as a true freshman got some meaningful playing time behind Cade McNamara, got some experience, but wasn't the guy that you didn't have to come in and lean on an 18-year-old kid to win you big-time college football games. In my mind, the runway for this Michigan quarterback position looks really good. It would go a long, long way if you can land the commitment of Jadyn Davis. March 31st. We'll be definitely hopping on after the commitment to talk about it. Hopefully it comes up Ann Arbor. I have not washed the Michigan socks yet, so they're still stinky, but they still got some good luck on them. Jadyn Davis, I'll wash them. I'll wash them after you commit to Michigan. So the ball is in your court. And again, just wanted to come on, break down this recruitment process a little bit, starting to get a little bit of a clearer picture on how this is going to look. He has his top 5. He has his commitment date. We're ready to rock and roll from a week from today. Again, appreciate the support you guys are showing. If you do enjoy the channel, the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.